Hello, everybody, and welcome to another amazing Survivor podcast. We are the Live Reality Games Network talking about Live to Give season 5, right, Shawn? Fans versus favorites versus famous. I am Naomi, but more importantly, I am joined by 4 amazing guests from this season and from production. Up first, right to this side of me, because I don't know my left from my rights on the internet, I have Carter Berquist. Carter, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on. Excited to talk about the episode and the season so far.
We are excited to have you. Thank you for being here. And we have, of course, the lovely Shawn McHale, our casting director. Shawn, how are you this evening?
I'm doing fantastic. Really excited to be here, hear these guys' opinions on how it's been going this season. You know, I'm on this side of stuff, not in their heads while this game is going, so it's always fun to pick their brains a little bit.
It is time to definitely pick some brains. Up next, we have Savannah. Savannah, welcome. Nice to see you. How are you doing?
I'm doing as good as one can on their boot episode week. So, but overall very good. And it was fun to watch back and see what I did wrong, I guess. I don't know.
We're going to talk all about it in a nice way. We're not going to, hopefully we'll be less dramatic this time around. And of course, we have Ryan Elder. Ryan, hello. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. Thanks for having me on here. This will be fun.
I'm so excited. Alex Wagner already starting off saying the facial hair in this podcast is immaculate. I just want to say I shaved for this podcast, Alex, so how dare you? Well, guys, it's going to be such a fun discussion. I want to start off by asking you guys if you had anything that you wanted to talk about from the first 4 episodes, the early tribes, the swap, the second swap. Guys, anything that you want to talk about in particular from the first couple episodes?
What were y'all thinking voting off famous people so early?
Well, I don't think any of you guys did it, right?
No, Carter and I, we didn't have an opportunity.
Well,
I haven't been to tribal yet.
Well, that's a great question to you, Carter. Like, seeing other people go home from the famous tribe, what were you sort of thinking seeing that go down, especially knowing that one of your closest allies from a previous game is James? Did you have any fear in your heart that the purple shirts were being targeted?
Oh, I figured that was going to be the case. And I came in knowing that if I wasn't threat number 1, I was threat number 2 behind James. So seeing purple go home, I was not by any means shocked. It was to be expected. I thought, maybe some relationships can form and, hopefully purple can stick together. But I was not surprised when the first couple came back and it was all purple. I was definitely kind of expecting something like that.
And Savannah, for you, you connected with Macy really early days. I just want to know about your relationship with Macy. You talked in the episode about how you guys talked about softball. Where did this friendship sort of come from in the early day of the game?
Literally, the first moment she showed up to the social, like, she came in kind of coming in hot. And I was like, I've already, and I am liking it. And we immediately bonded over softball, over getting ready for the event and kind of feeling a little bit overwhelmed. And I felt like we just kind of clicked on those things. And we were on the first 2 tribes together, which was super awesome. And we're able to spend the night together with the first tribe, not having to go to tribal council, just being able to goof around and, have fun. And we had, were able to do that. And then in that second tribe, we were honestly kind of the swing votes. It felt like a lot of both of those votes. So it was we were kind of forged in fire a little bit there. So it was super fun and just kind of crazy that we got swapped all 3 times on those tribes. And unfortunately, it maybe put a little bit of a target on our backs. So being that clearly bonded together or whatever. So
why can't we just let people be friends in Survivor? Why do we have to vote one out? And Elder, I want to ask you, because I would say that your edit in the first 4 episodes, no fault of your own, people want to vote you out, man. Were you surprised to see this all kind of playing back?
I mean, I knew because based on my season 4 edit that I was going to be a target. And I'm also kind of an easy person to vote out first because of that, or early. So because people, they know I had a great experience last time and I got to do a whole bunch of great bucket list Survivor things. So I would vote me out, like absolutely. So honestly, that's one of the things that drove me to fundraise as hard as I did, is because I knew if I had to go to the first couple tribals, I'd be toast. It's just too easy. Like I can't play my game coming in with that big of a target on my back. So yeah, I mean, winning immunities over and over again was awesome. And then getting to parlay my two, I already had connections by the time I, have to go to tribal. So,
and the convenient safety that you haven't used up whatsoever.
this is the first of two. So I have two, and I used the first one in this episode. Yeah.
Yeah, a real thrifty use of your save.
I was sandbagging them. Yeah, you're not wrong.
I wanted to ask you about the relationships that you saw and put together on these tribes. I mean, when you're thinking about casting a game and you have players like Carter and James who have played together, or Janicki and Daniel who have blindsided each other, like what is your process in putting these people on the same season?
It was so difficult. Like, you do not know the arguments that go on in the background, but the simple fact of the matter is we already were making not enemies, but we had to make so many tough decisions and read these dynamics because there were so many other interested parties that had played before as well. And we need to for one thing, we need to come up with a dynamic. Like, we need to see like people who played well together, people who are entertaining characters, but people who also mattered to their charity, like that were connected to their charity closely. But then we have people like Daniel and Janicki, Daniel and Janicki, who, as we said, the blindside queen, Daniel is one of the targets. And we wanted to see what would come of that. Like, were these people going to fight? Were they going to be able to turn around? And as we saw this episode, they were talking, they reflected on their past, and they were trying to evolve their game. So seeing where that goes is going to be fascinating for everyone. But yeah, we wanted some of that drama coming into the season. And of course, as we know, there were some unsuspected things that occurred since we cast the season pre-pandemic. As we know, we got sadly, as we saw from last episode, and we all know, Carter, ended up replacing Sunday. She was initially on our cast due to bless her soul, everything that went down. And so, of course, there's unexpected things like that occurred, but we really were looking at these dynamics, where we can put them, what we can do to create a little internal, external tension prior to the season even starting.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know if I cut someone off. Go ahead.
I guess, Elder, I'm curious to get your take. I think watching back up to this point, my biggest regret has been not connecting more with you on our initial first tribe. And I think we both read it right in that we were both such big targets. And I was worried that if we talked, that would even put a bigger target on my back, knowing you had safety. But I'm kind of curious what your thought is on that.
Yeah, my head was in the same place as you. I was kind of going, well, I'm just going to do my best to build social bonds on our starting tribe with you. I was thrilled with our starting tribe. Like, they begged me to give a name in my confessional. And so I said Elizabeth too many times, I know, in those first couple episodes. But like, those 6 people were like people that I came into the game wanting to like connect with on a personal level first, and then a game level second. But I was also actively not talking game. So I could have pulled you aside. I chose not to, because I was hoping that the bonds we made around the fire overnight would be enough to carry me to a point where, when we did get to a point in the game where we were forced to talk game, I could go, hey, we're together, right? And we wouldn't have to like be actively seen strategizing. Totally. Do you know what I mean? I do think like it potentially could have bit me in the butt, except for I had those 2 safeties. So
for sure.
I think with the 2 safeties, Ryan, it's always very interesting to have the ability to strategize without your name being able to be thrown out there. It's one of the beauties of like winning individual immunity, but in the tribal portion of the game, I think it really helps to solidify bonds when, in a way, that you can't be voted for, so you can really start to build a relationship. So yeah. I think you did a great job of doing that, especially in this episode, leveraging your safety versus what you wanted to happen. But before we get too deep in the episode, Shawn, I wanted to ask you about casting Savannah, because Savannah, I loved watching you play. I thought you were so fun and fun to talk to. And I wanted to know a little bit more from Shawn about what made you want to put Savannah on this season, a season where there's only 8 people coming to play.
Yeah.
Not you, Savannah, only 8 people playing who have never played Live to Give before. And that is an elite group of people. I love all the fans so much.
Yeah.
But Shawn, tell me a little bit more about bringing Savannah on board.
First off, I do need to re-emphasize exactly what you just said. These fans blew us away. Like, the amount of applicants we have was so far and beyond what you could expect, especially, I mean, we didn't even announce, or did we announce the season ahead of time? I don't think we did. Either way, it just shows what our event can do for one thing, and the amount of fan applicants we had was amazing. But Savannah was such a unique case. So for the first time ever, thank you, Elder, we got an opportunity to Brandon got an opportunity to speak on Rob Has a Podcast, and we got quite a bit of interest after that thing. And Savannah actually is one of them that put on her application, I heard you on our app. We really want to do it. And then her talking about mental health in her family and her sister and everything. That's a big thing for us, is that connection to your charity. And she showed that. Also, she was new to the state. You know, we cast people from all over the country, but we do like to have at least a good portion local, just because of that vibe and the giving back to local charities. And Savannah checked all those boxes, but when she came into the interview, we really didn't know what to expect. We didn't. And she just blew us away with one. She's so articulate in her own personality and way. She just blows you away. And she's such a kind personality. And right away we're like, this girl's a fan. We want her. And we're like, and getting her through that unique route, everything she did was check the box, check the box, check the box. And we were so happy. We just seemed to find this girl from nowhere and came on. And she honestly, this episode, I just want to say it, one, in my head, I am a doorknob. I could not remember if Macy or Savannah went first. And I was I had this internal battle. I was like, is Macy gonna win? Is Savannah gonna win? What's going on? And and Savannah just killed it. So.
Oh, thank you. I don't need my head get any bigger.
Well, Savannah, what made you want to apply?
But
was it listening to that RHAP episode?
Like Shawn said, I heard them on the episode, and ever since I had moved to Minnesota, which it's now been 3 years with the COVID and everything, it feels like forever ago, but I had moved. I didn't know anybody in Minneapolis. I just graduated and was like, let's go wherever the wind takes me. Moved up here, and honestly, one of the big things that I did in my free time was binge watch all the old Survivors and catch up and start to listen to all the podcasts and learn more about the fan world of Survivor. And it was just kind of something I had challenged myself to put myself out on a whim, and happened to make it on the season. And like you said, I didn't know a single person. It was kind of crazy coming in and having to build those bonds from scratch, where a lot of people came in knowing, we already talked about some of those past seasons, which maybe I thought might benefit me because I didn't have any bad blood coming in, but yeah, it was definitely a tricky situation to manage, but I'm super happy I found out I listened to that one random podcast, and
you should have told me during the game.
Now I'm kind of upset.
You should.
I didn't. I should have.
I don't know if it would have helped, but it might have. I mean, I'm just one vote,
I know, and that round was that. Honestly, looking back and watching this episode, that round was so fast.
When Brandon said you guys have an hour, I was in my head, I was like, did we have an hour? No way. No. And of course, that round in my confessional, they had asked me about my charity, and I just broke down crying. It was a mess. I'm glad they edited something together to make me look at least somewhat sane, because I was a mess in that confessional. And I felt as soon as I came back, I was trying to keep it together from that. And then as soon as I walked back, Macy's it's you and me. And I was I don't know what to do. Yeah. So, and it was so fast, and immediately I felt we were going to tribal council. So,
we'll get to the chaos of what happened.
Don't get too hard myself.
first, Katie has a question for Elder. Will you make a Live to Give theme song? Let's avoid that copyright altogether. Make us. I think it's a great idea, Shawn.
I think it'd be fantastic. I think that Elder is, as we know, one of the most talented people any of us know. And if he wanted to do it, I mean, I wouldn't complain. Of course, we'd be already exploding with Elder everywhere because we love the guy, and we could put it some more places.
Yeah, how much are you going to donate to my charity?
Yeah, that's true, Katie. Well, guys, let's start out right at the very beginning. So they have just voted out Katie and Andrea. Two very tough votes, and shout out to Katie who is in the chat. And now turns out you're swapping. I want to know, Carter, did you expect a swap at this point? I mean, you're on such an amazing winning tribe. Did you think that something was going to come to shake it all up for you?
I didn't think it would be that soon. Yeah, I mean, as Elder can attest to, I don't think I could have handpicked a better tribe. That second tribe was just, I mean, seriously, I could have plucked everybody that I felt like I had relationships with, and it was like, yeah, I was very happy.
You weren't going anywhere on that tribe. I think you would have been like last person standing on that tribe if we had to go to tribal 8 times in a row or whatever it was. Like, absolutely, you weren't going anywhere.
It would have been interesting. Yeah, I was very happy, and I thought we had at least one more round. I knew there would be a swap because that's just Live to Give, but I did think we had another round or two in us, and I was very confident that we would win just based on who we had. So I was surprised to see a swap that quick, for sure.
I've played a lot of reality games here and there, and I don't think I've ever been on a tribe that was the total package like that second tribe that you and I were on together, Carter. Like, we just had people that excelled at every area of the game. Like, we had physical people, we had people who were great at balance, who were great at puzzles, super smart. I mean, James did that Sudoku thing basically by himself, blindfolded.
Yes, he did.
I just stood there and said, yeah, go for it, James. I'll tell you what numbers you're holding on to.
Oh my God, that challenge. Well, okay, quick question for Carter and Elder. If you guys had gone to tribal, do you know who you would have voted for at that time? I know, there are rumors of Jack and Angie being on the bottom. Do you have any idea in retrospect who you might have tried to vote for?
It would have been tough.
Yeah.
What do you think, Elder?
So I know, looking back, I wouldn't have pushed anyone because I was safe. So I was trying not to push people. But if I wanted to push someone, I personally would have tried to push Ryan, and it would have backfired big time. I didn't realize he and James were so tight.
Well, you couldn't have voted for Ryan because Ryan.
Oh, he was safe, so I couldn't. Yeah.
So that would have.
So I guess I probably would have pushed Daniel then. I really wanted Jack and Angie to stick around because they're the obvious targets, and I like there to be obvious targets, right? And James, of course, and you also people that, like, first of all, there's no way I was going to get any momentum against you. And I know Jack and Angie were pushing James, but I wasn't going to do James. I need James in the game, like I said in that confessional. So I think we would have ended up just being Angie or Jack from most likely.
And truly, like, every person on that tribe was someone who I wanted to work with. And so, but it was just kind of a numbers game. And, I obviously wasn't going to vote out James. I wasn't, which people may not know, I actually went to high school with Daniel. And I was sure people knew that in the game. I thought nobody would know that. I thought that'd kind of be a hidden connection that we had and could trust each other pretty. So I wasn't going to vote out Daniel. And then, Elder and Ryan were both safe. And so that really left Angie and Jack. At that point, I connected a little bit with Angie based on, kind of her dad and my mom. And I truly wanted to work with Jack. But if we went home, I think it would have just been a victim of the numbers game based on who was safe and what relationships I had. But
now that you mention it, I think it almost for sure would have been Jack, just because I know I would have pushed against voting out the only woman on the tribe. 100%. There's no way I would have felt comfortable doing that. We finally get to a point where we have to vote someone out. We're just like, well, obviously the woman. No way. That's not happening. So I think it would have ended up being Jack, even though, and this is some tea, before Jack was, literally 1 week before Jack was announced on the cast, I had no idea. Him and I had lunch together. So Jack and I were we're friends outside the game. So I was happy when he came back, but I think it would have just been, numbers. I don't think they would have been in his favor.
Yeah, and hello to James, who is watching and commenting with us. Congrats on your marriage.
Yes.
That's right. Congrats, James. And
an old burger to your wedding. Congratulations. And Alex is not anti-surviving on the Tribe of Men for anti-man edit. I have never seen people more screwed than Angie and Jack from this swap, and then in this episode that happens, Derek in this episode. Oh my gosh, I've never seen like two swaps where people are more just like, oh wow, it's gonna be.
Yeah, Derek is in trouble over there, isn't he?
Yes.
For sure.
Well, let's get to it. So we have a challenge where you're competing to grab balls with different sort of point values, and the top 9 finishers in this challenge will make up one tribe, and the losing 9 in this challenge will make up the other tribe. Now, let's all take a moment to read Alex Wagner for Filth. What kind of challenge is this to determine a top and bottom 9? Because when you see how it plays out, you suddenly start to rethink it. And to Alex's credit, he was like, oh shit. But I will say that I know we had a lot of gripes with this challenge. Does anybody want to air their grievances first?
I love
that. Listen, I love the challenge. I just don't like it as a way to divide tribes. And this is meta. Like, you won't see me saying that in the game because I didn't on camera purposefully. I just think like I don't like it when people get meta about the game from within the game. So at least I hope you won't see me. But yeah, it was kind of annoying, you know. But you know, whatever. Like, we'll see how it plays out. Hopefully.
Yeah. It was just so frustrating. I was so mad. I was running back and forth. We're tired. We're hungry. And all of a sudden, I turn around and like 5 guys are standing around my bucket taking my balls. And I was like, that sounds terrible in context.
That's because you have more than them, bigger ones too.
Yeah, I couldn't keep Cam away from my balls, unfortunately.
It was just
that's a problem he has sometimes.
Yeah, I think there was like, if I had, I mean, it was just all about speed because of the short amount of time. But like, there were some people who did have their brains worked fast enough to come up with a little strategy, and some people put their envelope over the balls and were hiding their weren't, so people weren't stealing from them. And like, I think there was some strategy. Like, people made packs with their people around them, but then that kind of went out the window after like the 2-minute mark. And yeah, it was.
Yeah, my neighbors were Megan and Macy, and I made a pact with both of them, a non-aggression pact, and we, as far as I know, we all stuck to it, or they stuck to it with me. They didn't have it with each other, obviously. But one of the reasons why I felt comfortable talking to Macy when we got back to camp immediately was because she honored that, and so I felt like, oh, I can talk to her. We've already built some kind of trust, even though we haven't played together during the game yet.
Well, I forgot to mention there's a little twist to this challenge, which is that there are some lovely checks that have been donated that are in the pool. And I remember hearing a lot of talk about like stealing checks and sort of like, you know, is it cool to steal a check from somebody for your own charity? This is a really fun part and kind of like a microcosm of what this game is, which is you're playing Survivor, and you're voting people out who are raising money for charity, but you're also raising money for charity. And I love that this was a part of the challenge. And as we see, a lot of the checks go to the people on the winning team of this challenge. So, you know, Alex, maybe you need to go back to the drawing board just a little bit, and we'll see this challenge in a future season. Now, I want to ask you guys what you thought about Megan, because in this episode, she reveals that she was actually intentionally losing, and that she wanted to stay at the bottom of the pack because she thought that she would be more in control in the lower half of the cast divided. Was anybody surprised to see this? I was really shocked by how impressive I thought this was.
Yeah, she doesn't give herself enough credit sometimes, honestly. She's very
That's literally where I was gonna go. Megan is literally like such a strong individual woman, and all these confessionals of her being like, I'm old, I'm weak, drives me nuts, because this woman is not a weak woman at all. And like mind and physicality, like this girl is strong. So her throwing it, like you can tell that she was doing that, and I could see her doing it, but like I just hate when she brings herself down, because she is literally not that way at all in person.
Yeah. I think in the game for her to do that, like whether it's intentional or not, I think it's totally strategy to downplay herself, and she's good at it, and you kind of believe it. And I think Megan's real strength is her social game. I mean, it's off the charts good. And I think it shows that she knows that's her strength, that she's willing to be on the losing tribe because she knows she can navigate that losing tribe socially. And super impressive. When she said that, my jaw dropped, and I was like, she plays like it on that tribe too.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's definitely, I didn't think of, it was a big deal, because I felt the exact opposite. Is if I get on this losing tribe, I'm going to be on the bottom. I have to win this tribe, because I'm going to be in a way better spot on the winning tribe than on the losing tribe. And it was interesting to hear Megan say that, and it's a really good point, because I think she's right that she was in a better spot with that group of people than had she been on the winning tribe. But it's just kind of interesting on different dynamics on where people fell into that.
Yeah, it shows a real good sense of self-awareness, and like you said, she has such a good social game. She's able to fit in anywhere she needs to. So
yeah. My thought was like, I just want to be on a tribe with a bunch of people who just won a challenge. Like, seems like they might win another one. I don't know.
Well, Elder, that brings me to the next thing that happens in this episode, which is there is a vote to put someone on your tribe. Now, it's you and Serena. You guys tied for the amount of balls. And counting these balls, I did not sign up for this when I volunteered for Live to Give. This was way more math than I expected, running off of like 3 hours of sleep.
It took forever, by the way.
Yes, it did. It did.
Yes, it did.
Because we're not smart. We're all just like counting and being like, how much are the blue ones worth? Like,
yeah. By the way, during that counting, Macy was working social game with me, big time, just sitting there waiting. Like, she was like, "You look just like my good friend from college," and like she totally was misting me while we were sitting there waiting for the counting to be done. It was impressive.
That's a great technique. Just, oh, you look like someone I know.
Yeah, she was like, he's a pastor, and I was like, well, that's the similarities apparently end at us looking alike then.
So Ryan, this is an interesting, first of all, I think that the vote, when I saw that it was the choice between you and Serena, I knew immediately that Serena was going to go to this tribe based on her connections with Cam, Bergen, Lance, especially having the early vote. Did you think at all that you might get put on this tribe, or did you think Serena's going to go there and I'm going to join the losers?
Yeah, not for a second did I think I would end up on that tribe. I don't even know. Oh, they put me through the embarrassment of everybody saying Serena's name.
Carter gave you a vote, right?
I gave you a vote.
Yes, Carter. I really appreciated that. You don't know how much I appreciated that in the moment, even though I knew it was a futile gesture. And you knew it was a futile gesture too, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I did. I knew at that point, because I think I was like the fifth one to vote, and it was like, okay, like it's going to be Serena. But I did truly, like, I had already been on a tribe with you up to that point. I hadn't worked with Serena, and so I was like, well, I would like to work with Elder, and then maybe this will benefit me down the road by giving him a vote, knowing it's going to be Serena here regardless, anyways.
Yeah, I thought it was nice, like a nice sort of moment for Serena and my season 4 to season 5 story as well. Because we played season 4 together, and even though she didn't get to vote me out, she did try to vote me out a couple times. So it was fun that we were up next to each other in that. But yeah, I never thought I was ever going to make that tribe.
Well, to break down the new tribes, we have on the new Anoka, aka Orange, we have James, Lance, Ryan, Cam, Derek, Jack, Serena, you, Carter, and Bergen. And on the new Mankato, we have Elaine, Daniel, Janicki, Savannah, Megan, Macy, Angie, Elder, and Elizabeth. I think you can hear, I think Elaine says like girl power. Somebody says like girl power when they realize that this tribe is forming. But I have to say the Mankato tribe is iconic. Like, this is such a great group of players. Shawn, I have to think that, while the gender balance is a little funky, these are still two really great tribes.
Oh, they are fantastic. Like, the amount of personalities, they like split right to a point where like you get like just like they mesh so interestingly on both, and like you get Angie breaking down, you get Savannah breaking down, you just get a lot of breaking down, and then Ryan just being like about this. Like, it was just like one split was interesting, but how it played out where those bottom people got put in there, it just you got some interesting personalities all meshed together, and I loved it.
Yes. So Alex says, Elizabeth popped off in episode 5. Can we address this for a moment? Let's talk about Queen Elizabeth. She has not had her due yet. Now, Carter and Elder, you guys start out with Elizabeth on your original tribe. And while I think Elizabeth was the easy vote because she took some time to be adjusted to the situation that she was in, Elizabeth is a very, very bright young woman and is really, really fun to hang around with. What did you guys think of her sort of really coming into her own in this episode?
Yeah, I thought it was really cool to see. I really enjoyed being on a tribe with her to start. And I don't think she would have been the easy vote. If we had gone to tribal, I don't think it would have been her looking back. But I could tell she was just so nervous to start. But it was cool to kind of like see her start to come into her own here in this episode. And I think Lance said it on a previous podcast, but I don't think she would have been the first vote.
I still don't know who would have.
Yeah, that
because I didn't talk to anyone about game. Yeah.
Yeah, in the grand scale, that tribe is the one where you're like, what is going to happen in this one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was so surprised because I was with her on the second tribes.
Yes.
And like we had that crazy kind of Katie vote that got decided last minute at the bathrooms. And I was trying to get an answer from her and she would not give me anything. I'm like, we need to make a decision. Like, it's kind of coming up to us in the middle here. And like, we need to make a decision. And she would not give me anything. And so when I saw her, like, they asked who we think said this is a hot mess express. Last person I would have guessed would have been Elizabeth. And I was like, dang, go golf, girl. Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's super cool. I studied engineering as well, and she's studying engineering. So we immediately clicked on that. And so I'm sad we had to kind of go against each other here. But yeah.
Elizabeth has a survivor skill that I am so jealous of, which is the ability to keep your mouth shut all the time. Like, her social game is amazing, and she can just cruise under the radar so well. It's really impressive. The fact that nobody even considered her when she went to tribal the other times, like, her name never gets mentioned. She's always there voting on the right side of the numbers, like, just playing the game really well right now.
Shawn, is she the youngest cast member, or is that Derek?
Derek is the youngest cast member. Fun fact. So we did have a contestant that was technically under 18 in season 1. That would have been Olivia, who was initially going to be cast for the season, because that season was just, our weird season 1 that Angie played in, of course, as we all know. But she was just under 18 at the time. But now, because of safety and rules, were you need to be 18 to play. But Derek, technically post the 18 rule, would have been the youngest person to play Live to Give. Now I get Angie comments. Angie's saying she was younger than Olivia.
Well, no, in this season, forget.
Okay, let's go back to this
season.
In this season, would have been Derek. Derek was actually not even 18 when he applied, and he would have been the youngest and closest to the turning 18 by the season. But then, of course, we had COVID, which made them both a year older. So Derek was technically the youngest.
Yeah.
By a couple months, not by.
Yeah, there's a lot of young people on this season, but I think that they have such great survivor skills, like you mentioned, Elder, and we'll see it with Derek too. Derek was really sort of making a lot of moves behind the scenes, Savannah, on that earlier tribe that you guys were on together. And we're going to see in this episode that clearly Derek is kind of the odd man out on Anoka. Savannah, I want to know a little bit more about your relationship with Derek, seeing as you were on a tribe and then you swapped off. is he someone that you wanted to work with, or were you kind of glad to be not in the same tribe with him anymore?
I was skeptical of him, but I definitely loved playing with him. He was so smart, and I felt like we bounced ideas off each other. And like I said, that Katie vote was kind of crazy. And he was the one where we talked through, like, we think Cam has an idol. Like, what do we do? We kind of both were Survivor nerds, and we were like, can we do a 3-2-1 vote anyhow? Like, we're just kind of like geeking out. And so it was fun to play with him. And I definitely like trusted him. I think I could have trusted him to a certain point, but I knew he was good. So like, on a certain point, but yeah, I liked playing with him, and I felt like we worked pretty well together. So
yeah,
unfortunately.
So, Carter, that brings me to you. This tribe that you're on, the winningest tribe seems to have Carter as the factor, and James too, to an extent. So for you, Carter, I'm curious how you saw this tribe going, and what you thought was probably going to happen, should you lose next round.
Yeah. It's super interesting, and I think obviously you never want to go to tribal, but looking back, it also makes it really difficult because up to this point, I had no clue who I could really trust and who I couldn't trust. Up to this point, I had great conversations with, everybody, and felt like, yeah, I can trust everybody. Nobody's going to, vote me off, which isn't true, but you have no way to test anything. So I don't know what would have happened. In this episode, I'm still trying to figure out who's connected to who. I realized, I came in way underprepared than everybody else did as far as, research prior to knowing who's connected to who. I just came in completely green. I knew the people I played with, and that was it. And so there's all these different relationships that I'm trying to sort out. Derek definitely was, on the surface, the odd man out on that tribe. But I know I would have done what I could have to steer the vote away from Derek at that point. I'm not sure where it would have fell as far as who. Honestly, I have no clue. We never had to talk strategy. I'm sure Derek's name would have come up for sure. I don't know if I had enough clout with that group of people to push it somewhere else. But, his name definitely would have been brought up, I'm sure, based on Serena, Bergen, Cam all being together, and Lance. That whatever quad of people wasn't going anywhere. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's a really interesting dynamic. So just to talk about it a little bit more. So you have, you and James are friends, but then you have James and Bergen. We're both in The Amazing Race, separate seasons. And then you have, Serena, Cam, and Bergen are all reunited as the original Silver Tribe. You have Ryan and James. You have Derek and Jack, who one voted the other out. And then you, Carter, and Lance were on the same tribe originally. But Lance and Serena are good friends. It's all these really interesting dynamics at play in this tribe. So we'll see what happens on it. But for now, you're safe. But I definitely knew that this was the firecracker tribe where, they're safe for this round, but if they go to tribal council, we're going to see some sparks fly. And so I was a little sad that it was I love to see these alliances form, especially because when you're accidentally on a tribe with maybe 4 people you're in an alliance with. I know, Carter, you and Ryan and James were really sort of forming something on the earlier tribe as well. I just want to say to the audience that they need to tune into next week's episode and the week after that, and every episode, to see how this all kind of goes.
There's a lot of relationships at play, and it'll be interesting to see how our tribe plays it out for sure.
There you go. Thank you for summing me up much quicker. Elder, I want to know from you, being safe this round and knowing that you're going to tribal, what was your goal here? What did you want to accomplish with this vote?
Yeah, my goal of being safe was not push anyone, and just try to push, really just to be like, if people started saying the names that I wanted to protect, maybe try to deflect. So the people I wanted to protect were people from my original Mankato tribe. Elaine was someone who I was absolutely smitten with from the very first second she opened her mouth around me. And, obviously saw her on the show too, but just incredible person. And that first night was so fun. Hearing all her stories and So I was like, I want to go to the end with Elaine. I don't care if she beats me. Like, I just love Elaine so much. So I wanted to protect Elaine. I wanted to protect Janicki, who Janicki is really one of the only people on my initial tribe that I did talk any game with. Actually, Janicki is the only person on that initial Mankato tribe that I talked any game with. So I wanted to protect Janicki. And then I also wanted to protect Elizabeth because I just felt like Elizabeth and I did connect a little bit on our initial tribe, and I didn't think she would try to vote me out. So I knew I'm safe for 2 rounds. If for some godforsaken reason I have to go to tribal a bunch of times in this tribe, I want to make sure that I have the numbers once my safety runs out.
And Savannah, for you, you got to be kind of reunited with Daniel, someone you were on the first tribe with. But this is, I think, a really interesting position for you. And I want to know more about like how Daniel plays into it, because you've been with Macy this whole time and you guys have really formed a bond. But at the same time, everybody that was kind of on your tribe that maybe you were getting along with is now on the other tribe, like Cam. So, Savannah, talk to me a little bit about what was going on for you in these sort of treacherous moments.
Oh man, it was pretty rough for me. I am in my confessional, like trying to talk the numbers out in my head. And previously, I had been pretty vocal about wanting to get favorites out, and I'm on now on a tribe with 5 favorites that are like easy to like come together and vote whoever out. And that's not me. So I was trying to think through numbers in any way I could. Like my old tribe, I knew I had me, Macy, and Daniel, and I was like, that's a good core, but like who else do we pull in? And like I said, I think, like you said, Carter, I was not as prepared as I probably should have been. I did not fully understand some of those relationships. Like, you know, Janicki did blindside Daniel at one point, and like maybe I could have exploited that and like fanned the flame there a little bit. But like I said, when I just started thinking about it, I'm like, anyway, the number, I was like, if I get all the fans and the famous, like we're outnumbered still. And if I wanted to get like Elizabeth, who I'd worked with, I was kind of still like one short every way I looked at it. I was like, I cannot figure out a way. And like, yeah, I just felt a little bit hopeless. And when I came back, literally as soon as I come back, I was like, maybe I'll just throw anybody's else name but me. And immediately I came back from my confessional, and it's like, it's you or me. And I'm like, what the heck? How do I get out of this hole? And I felt a little defeated, but yeah.
Was it pretty apparent right away what was going to happen? Like either Savannah or Elder, or like, was there a lot of discussion from the other side? You know, we obviously had no idea. So coming back in, we don't really know, you know, what happened or how it went. Yeah. So curious kind of the background.
It's hard to remember because I was on like 3 hours sleep and absolutely destroyed from that challenge. But I feel like, you know, Savannah was one of the first people to go do a confessional, which it sucks. You have to do it when they call you.
I tried not to.
I know, it sucks. I often volunteer to do it first just because I do like to get it over with. Maybe I can do damage control when I get back. But in any case, I do remember there was a lot of people like I wasn't throwing out names, but people were saying names, and I was basically going, yeah, I would do that, or I'd prefer not to do that, right? And so, you know, some of the names that were getting thrown out were people that I didn't want to do, particularly Macy. At that point, I really just didn't want to vote out Macy because I felt like maybe Macy and I were building some kind of trust with each other. And so when it was like, what about Macy? Can we wait? Do we have to do Macy? What about Savannah? Yeah, I guess Savannah, that's fine. You know, so from my point of view, I was just agreeing with or disagreeing with names. And the names that were getting said were Macy and Savannah.
Mm-hmm. Well,
yeah, and I think I brought up Elizabeth too, and you were like, no.
Yeah, you may have. There was like not a lot of names you could have said to me that I would have agreed with. Maybe Megan, I would have been, but it's really hard, you know.
What about Daniel?
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, Elder, if Savannah,
at least for me, like,
put up Daniel, would that work?
I felt like Daniel was at least one of the people I had on my side, the few I had there. So I felt like if I was gonna get anything to work, I needed him as a number.
I have this question for you. So where was your relationship with Daniel? We know that you and Macy were super close. Where was your overall, like, like how close do you think you were, Daniel? Because because Macy said she had both of you. You said you had Macy. She's, where was that?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely knew that she had him. Like, I could tell that they were getting along very well. So, like, I definitely didn't have as close of a relationship with Daniel, but I felt like via Macy, I had him as well. Like, I knew he wouldn't want to, and I felt like I could trust him, but I knew immediately he was not a good liar. I came back and he was like, he wouldn't look me in the eye. So I was like, this is not a good sign. So, yeah, it was interesting. Funny story though, I did have to use a restroom break during this round, and I remember walking with Megan and Elaine, and I swear their whole goal was to just stall me because I'm like, I'm trying to go as fast as possible, and like they are walking so slow and trying to talk to me, and like I'm like, I need to talk to them, but I need to be really bad, and it was just like, I'm like, oh, these people are trying to get me out.
If it was any two other people, I would say maybe they were, but I just do not think that Elaine would ever stall on purpose.
No, I talked to them later at post game, and like they're like, oh no, we were just trying to be nice and like make you feel better. I'm like, no, you were being mean.
That good old paranoia will get you.
I know. We worked it all out, but in the moment I'm like, these people, I just need to go. So this was fun.
So Elder, my question to you is Daniel someone that you would have considered voting out at this point? If Savannah and Macy say like, hey, we'll lose one to appease you guys.
Well, I had just been on a tribe with Daniel, so I think if Daniel's name had been in the mix, I definitely wouldn't have pushed against it. I was going to push against Elaine, Elizabeth, Janicki, and Macy at that point. Anybody else I was probably open to. So yeah, if he had been brought up, maybe. It's tough though, because, Savannah and Macy's not going to bring up Daniel. Heck no. Right. Yeah. Like there's no way for you to know that Daniel was probably the person who could have gone instead of you. And looking back now, it's just results oriented to say that you should have done that because you were tight with Daniel. Like, you're not going to throw your own ally under the bus in that moment.
No.
And that also brings up an interesting point on the other side of things is we have Angie, who I'm sure like Elder, like you knew a little bit, but or a lot. I also did not study the connections before I came and joined Live to Give. But I should say that Angie also came from the tribe with Megan originally, the Orange tribe, and is maybe one of the least connected people on this tribe, just in terms of previous tribes, right? In previous places that she was on. And I know she also came from that same tribe that you and Daniel were on, Elder. But I'm wondering if your thought was that Angie was someone who was also sticking around, maybe to a lower tier. Like, you have your top tier of people that you're keeping around. Yeah. Is Angie on a lower tier, or is it just that you weren't going to vote her out as well?
Yeah, I probably wasn't. I realize now I would have pushed back against Angie's name as well, because Angie was one of the few people on my previous tribe with Carter who came up to me and tried to talk strategy with me. Mm-hmm. And like, I sat there and talked to her a lot around the campfire and stuff while we were just waiting, because we got a lot of time to talk. We didn't ever have to go to tribal on that tribe. So, I felt like we connected a little bit, and I felt like Angie was someone where we didn't have a specific alliance. Hey, let's work together. But I knew there's a good chance she's not going to push to vote me out if it comes down to that. So I was sort of trying to keep Angie around at that point too. Mm-hmm. So, the list of names of people that I was willing to vote out was pretty slim, unfortunately.
Savannah, what does Ryan have against you, man? What the
hell? We just never played together. No. Listen, if Savannah and I had played
honestly,
together.
I got into this tribe and I'm like, I have not played with 5 of the people. That's enough to get me voted out right there. So like,
yeah, that's tough.
And even the people that I didn't trust Elizabeth 100% by any means. And Daniel, I knew he was like a ally of an ally. So I thought I had him, but it kind of was like just luck of the numbers. And honestly, I will say, Elder, because the other way I could shuffle the numbers was boys and girls. I know that's lame. I didn't want to have to go over there, but
I mean, it occurred to me for sure.
Because you had 2 rounds of safety, like that kind of threw that plan out the window too, because if we voted Danny out, then it's like we have to turn on somebody anyways. So
Right. Yeah. I mean, you could have done that. You could have said like, hey, like let's just all ladies work together and vote out the men. And you do that with Daniel, but like you said, then you have to vote one of yourselves out anyway.
Yeah.
So that didn't occur to me, but that absolutely had to have been a factor.
So
Shawn, something I want to ask you, because Macy is such a standout this episode, is I love, I think I was kind of there filming this, and I love what Macy says to you, Savannah, which is like, you need to vote for me. Like, if it's between you and me, like, don't try and be my friend, vote for me. Shawn, would you have expected this from Macy, going through the whole casting process with her, bringing her on to the season? Because I thought it was a great sort of like heroic, like almost like a Rupert-esque move in some ways, like old school Survivor, like don't worry, buddy, I'm rooting for you. What were you thinking, Shawn?
We really did not know what to expect from Macy. I'm going to be honest. We thought Macy could be first boot. We had no idea her Survivor knowledge. In all honesty, Macy was brought on. She was one of our replacements due to a situation. We were supposed to have Papa Smurf play again from Survivor Fiji, and he, bless his soul, is going through some, health stuff. He is old, as we all know, and he couldn't do it. So we were reaching around, and we knew her through some channels. She went to college with me actually, and Miss North Dakota, and we're like, you fit the theme. And she's like, we literally didn't know her Survivor knowledge. She's like, I think I know Survivor, but she's like, what is one of those, like, I watched it as a kid, like da 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 da. And we're like, okay. So honestly, she could have been playing the Rupert game. Like, that might have been the knowledge. But then there were so many times, one minute we'd be like, wait, has this girl just been binging? Does this girl know Survivor like the back of her hand? Some of the stuff she'd say. And then the next minute she'd hold up a leaf and be like, is this a hidden immunity idol? So it's like, when she did that with Savannah, I was like, know what? I respect what she's doing, and I 100% see where she's coming from, but none of us knew where this girl's game was going, where it was coming from, or where it is going. She was wild through the whole process.
Honestly, I kind of thought of her as, like, just from the first night of talking, like, she kind of played that, I don't really know, because we were talking a lot of, like, specifics of Real Survivor, and she'd be like, oh, I don't know what are you talking about, and like, those things, and I'm like, this is perfect. Like, I do get along with her, but also I can kind of use her as an extra vote in my pocket all the time. Like, I mean, obviously, like I said, we bonded on a friendship level as well, but I'm like, but going into some of those other votes on that second tribe, I would say something, and I knew it was not as good for her as it was for me, and she'd be like, no, we shouldn't do that. I'm like, wait, do you know more than I think you know? Dang it. So, but it worked out, and we did. It was a really nice moment. I was like, I can't vote for you. But ultimately, like I said, if there's any chance I was going to survive, I did not. She knew what she was talking about, and I was very impressed. And it was a sad moment I never wanted to experience, but it was nice. It was nice watching back, I think. In the moment, it did not feel good at all. But
no, it didn't. Carter, did you want to say something?
No, I mean, I would echo what Shawn. I thought what Shawn said was pretty funny, because that's the exact read. I mean, I talked with Macy in the social, and like we were kind of like, okay, we're the two. Like, I'm on the famous tribe, but I'm in no means famous, and we're the only two without reality experience, so we should probably kind of, not go for each other essentially. And then she would say some things where she's like, she doesn't know anything, and then she'd say other things where I'm like, wait, like that doesn't add up. Like, you know a lot more than you think, than you're leading on to know. So it's kind of interesting that you said that, Shawn, because that's the exact read that I got. So we'll see if it plays out more, but it was pretty funny.
Yeah, what a character Macy is. The leaf is so funny. Oh my god. Like, that's what I had to say.
I mean, she's joking, right? Don't you think?
Oh yeah, she was totally joking, but
yeah,
I hope so.
I think she was joking.
She knew way more than she was letting on. James actually kind of mentioned that, Carter, on when we were on that second tribe. James was talking about Macy, and he was like, I don't know what my read is on Macy, but she's really smart and she's really charming, so we should watch out for her. And I was like, so going into that tribe, I was like, I had a really healthy respect for Macy's game already going in, not having played with her, just because James had been talking her up. And that just I could tell instantly she was definitely, her social game was insane. So if she had even 10% of a strategic game, she was going to be dangerous.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I think that's what made Savannah, the two of you, really dangerous, combined with Daniel as a third. I think you guys had a lot of control on the last tribe you were on, and now on this one, it just sort of swung the other way. But
Yeah.
you guys were a great dynamic duo. Alex says Slacy, which
Is that going to stick?
Alex, keep the nicknames to yourself. But Savannah, I loved watching you guys play, and I'm very excited, Savannah, for you because you have a spot on the jury. You are joining our jury with Andrea, and I think that you put the fan in fan, I guess. Like, it's like we've seen in Real Survivor, people come out and they say they're a fan and they're not even a fan, and like you are such a fan, and so I was super excited that you got to be a part of this group that's going to determine the winner of the season. How did it feel getting that? Maybe the one bright spot after getting voted out?
Yeah, it was super cool. I knew I was right on the edge of that small gift, and yeah, I was just really excited. I was not expecting it, to be honest, and so I was kind of ready to go home, but I was way more excited to like sit there and be on the jury and get to welcome the people, as me and Andrea kind of got to be the like queens of. I think she said she was the queen. I was the princess of jury. So yes, and we had a good time. So like I said, I was excited to kind of geek out and hear all the stories of people coming in and get the lowdown and let my little Survivor nerd brain.
I knew from season 4 being on the jury is awesome, and I wanted to do it. If I short of winning, I wanted to do it because you just sit around and eat all day. It's the best.
And rub it in their faces.
Yeah. We sure did.
We got no food, so seeing the jury, is not fun.
Yeah. You're talking about your season when you made, right.
Yeah.
I really like, and you guys for tribal councils really sat in that heat, like you guys went through the elements out there. I was like, they're all going to come back like just as sunburnt as they do on Real Survivor with the way that they have to do these tribals councils in broad daylight. I just want to ask each of you guys if you have a fun or funny memory from this season, something that maybe didn't make the edit or did, that you just want to sort of point out as like something that reminds you why Live to Give is so much fun to participate in. Does anybody have anything they can remember off the top of their head?
Well, it was touched on in this episode, but I want to paint the picture a little better. When Elaine's scared, I think it was Megan and Serena.
Yes.
Who was it going to the bathroom?
Katie and Serena.
No. What was left out of that was that Elaine like crouched in the bushes for like 5 minutes before they showed up. Like she was like, I'm going to go down the path, and then next time someone shows up, I'm going to scare them. And we had just been scared by what sounded like a weird ghost in the night or something. Do you remember that, Carter? We're all like backing away from the noise, and Elaine is like heading towards the noise with her flashlight. So like tension, like we were already full of anxiety in the middle, and it's dark, you guys. Like you don't know how dark it is because we're under full tree cover in the middle of the night. Like you cannot see. It's pitch black. You can't see anything. Yeah. So I'm sure it was just absolutely terrifying for them to have her jump out like that.
Yeah, that was entertaining. That was
so funny, man. I felt bad, but also it was funny.
Yeah, for me, like looking back, it's like interesting to watch and just remember how exhausted you are. Like, I think, for anybody who's playing in the future or just kind of watching, like, it's no joke. Like, realizing, like, you have no clue what time it is. I'm guessing we're on, like, basically no sleep. It's hot. They give us no food, basically like no water. I mean, we got water, but
we got water.
Nothing else. But you're just like, your mind goes to mush very quickly. And so it's not like we're sleeping on a tarp with nothing. So it's it's funny to go back and remember all those long nights and everything.
Yeah.
Especially seeing myself this episode, like let the emotions kind of take over me. Like I'm my real life, like when I'm fed and slept, I am a very logical, analytical, competitive person,
Same.
and I'm like crying, blubbering mess who makes no sense in my confessional. And yeah, it definitely took a
Yep.
toll. But
Yeah,
honestly, for me, my fun moment is just like honestly getting to meet these people that I watched on my TV. It was so. This is like one of my first live events that I ever participated in, and getting to do it with like Elaine, who I loved on my screen, Jack, who was like, I love the circle. Like, it was just so cool. And to hear all their stories of like the amazing race and where they got to travel to, like just sitting there, especially that first night talking to James, like it was so, I literally felt like a kid on Christmas morning, like, wow, look at that. Like, it was so fun. So
Yeah.
it was a good time. For
I
sure.
remember walking over to the green camp and hearing you guys talk about the amazing race, and I was like, I kind of have things to do, but I more just want to sit here and listen to this conversation. And I was like, shoot, I gotta go. But I loved hearing you guys all interact. That was that early green tribe was a great camp. And such a fun group of people. Shawn, any fun memories for you on this season so far?
I think what I wish we could have, so I was leading the Anoka camp up till literally this swap. So I was on, and as we know, up until we made them this winning team this time, that had the orange curse. It was lose, 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 lose. And
yes. Oh my gosh, you had to go to so many. You had to film. Shawn and Nick, the orange tribe handlers, were filming nonstop. I would just have to beg them to keep going.
It was, and it was like kind of stressful, but it was like, I just know, like, I feel like this first, we'll say, I don't know, third of the game, quarter of the game, whatever it was, like, we could not fit into the episodes every single thing that went down. Like, the amount of emotions and strategy and she said, he said, they said that was going on was, I think that was what was so fun to me, and seeing what we're able to break it down to make it have a make sense through line, because I think a majority of those tribals, I would go up there and I'm like, Nick and I would just be talking. We're like, we have no idea who's going. And then we'd be arguing. We'd be like, and I think that was what was so fun to me, that you guys all, like every single one of you, were playing at such a level above like what you expect. But like even us as handlers weren't knowing always who was lying to who was doing what. And it was just, that was so fun for me. It was such an experience. These people came to play, and they're playing for charity, and they're playing for just so many cool reasons, and they really put in the work. So
yeah. Shawn, one of my favorite moments, I have the photo here, is you fell asleep during a challenge, and so I started taking selfies with you. That was one of my favorite.
I rarely sleep during this event. I have been the person who will stay at that camp overnight until I die.
You're insane.
Yeah. Season 4, Shawn, you were the first person up both mornings at camp with the camera going.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love it.
Delusional, insane. But you fell asleep next to me, and it made me laugh very hard. But guys, I know for a fact that the next few episodes are going to be amazing, because I know what happens in this game. I won't say anything. You guys know what happens in this game. You have to tune in to see what goes on with these guys. I have to give a shout out to Alex, to Brandon, to everybody involved in production, our amazing editors, Jorge and Luke and Hunter and Dom. You guys are crushing it this season. And all of my beloved tribe handlers who did such a good job in keeping you guys safe and not as grumpy. They didn't feed you. They didn't do anything to help you survive, but they filmed your tears, and now you can watch it back and enjoy it. Carter, Shawn, Elder, and Savannah, thank you so much for joining me. I just want to give you guys 1 second to talk about the charities again that you're playing for, and remind everybody of why you came out and did the darn thing and played Live to Give. Carter, why don't you hit us with it first? What charity were you playing for out there?
Yeah, so I was playing with the charity that my mom had initially chose, called the Pay It Forward Fund. Something that was really close to our families. It helps families that are going through the exact situation we were going through with my mom dealing with cancer, and helping just pay kind of your daily bills and things like that maybe get overlooked as far as things that need to get done, especially with moms that have younger kids and things like that. So it was really cool to be able to play that, something that, was so close to our family.
Awesome. Elder, tell us again what you're playing for.
I'm playing for more School of Empowerment. They they sort of provide new Americans, immigrants, refugees, the tools they need to, survive and make a life for themselves here in Minnesota, in particular St. Paul and Minneapolis. And they are getting a lot of new people these days because of the political change, but also because of Afghanistan and all that stuff. So they're doing a lot of great work, and they're pretty close to my heart and my wife's heart as well. So.
And Savannah, tell us again the charity that you raised so much money for. Let us know.
Yeah, I raised money for NAMI, Minnesota specifically. It's the National Alliance for Mental Illness. Their biggest focus is destigmatizing mental health and taking care of what you need and supporting the families who need help and doing that. It's super close to my family, and it should be everyone, because we all have mental health and we all need to take care of ourselves. And NAMI is a great resource to get started on some of those things. So yeah.
Yes, if you haven't, there's Meet Me videos for every player who participated in this season, and everybody talks about their charity in more detail. I loved getting to edit those videos and learn more about why everybody is here. And, you're all here for the right reasons. This isn't just The Bachelor. But guys, thank you so much for joining me this week. Savannah, we're so sad to see you go. And Carter and Elder, we are keeping our eyes on you as players. And don't forget to subscribe to Live to Give on YouTube. Join us on Instagram, on Twitter. Check out Live Reality Games, all that good stuff. I know. Make sure to tune in. Next episode, Shawn, do you know it's next Sunday, right?
Oh my goodness, you're putting me on the spot, and I want to
It
say
is.
it is next Sunday, and then we go on a little bit of a hiatus for a couple weeks, if I remember correct.
No,
Yes.
2 more Sundays in a row. If they stick to the schedule, it's 2 more in a row and then a hiatus.
Okay, well, see, Elder pays more attention than I do, so that explains it. So listen to Elder, 2 more Sundays.
That, we'll see. It may change, but that's
all I know is I'm going to be in Minnesota soon, so I hope to see some of you. And thank you, everybody, for watching, for commenting, especially all the players. We love to hear from you. Okay, guys, we're going to end the broadcast.